Hello, I was doing some circuit board cutting and experimenting with my Wolfgang Engineering Spindle, and I figured I would film it and use it as a plug for this spindle because it's amazing. This particular package that I bought came with an AC motor, which was nice because the DC motors offered up until then were really hard to find power supplies for. So this one just plugs into the wall. Comes with the belt, the motor holder, the spindle holder, which by the way I had to drill holes in my router plate myself to mount it, but that wasn't too hard, although I blew one of them. This one is not quite in line, so I just didn't put anything in there. The spindle itself, this is a TB350. It's got 3 ceramic bearings in it. Run out, I put a dial up micrometer on this thing and spun it around, and basically there's no run out. I couldn't measure anything on my dial micrometer at all. Not even on the 10 thousandths of an inch little mini dial that's in there. It was like, it didn't even wiggle. So anyways, I was doing some cutting this morning. This is just a little adapter board for a breadboard that I was working on. I went and snapped my V-bit the other day, sillily. I tried to cut through one of these screws. It doesn't work too well that way. And I was down to only 1 bit left for making boards. And this bit I've had for over 6 months, but I've been too chicken to try it out because I figured I would snap it off the instant it touched anything. And as you can tell, looking at these lines, they're pretty damn skinny. And in fact, I cut them using this. This is a tiny little bit. The end mill itself, the cutting part, is only 5 thousandths of an inch. It almost looks like just it comes to a point, but there's actually a little bit of end mill there with 2 flutes on it, a screw thread and everything. I've got my camera on super macro. I'm not sure if it'll focus in that close though. See what I can get going here. I don't think I can focus on it. It's just too damn small. Oh well, you'll probably get the idea. See how small that is. Anyways, I'm going to chuck this up. I've made this board earlier, and I goofed. These 2 holes were supposed to be horizontal, not vertical. As you can see, I've re-drilled them up here. And I'm going to go cut the traces around it, and I'll film it. One of the really nice things about the Wolfgang Spindle is the way that the bits chuck up. It actually uses a drawbar, something I never really thought I would see on something really small like this. But there's actually, at the top here, probably can't see down the side, but there's a small hex wrench, hex bolt, that you just fit a regular hex wrench into to tighten up. Down at the bottom there's a little collet that is attached to the top part here. It's just like a long bolt. When you tighten up the bolt, the collet pulls up inside and a little taper squeezes in on your bit. It takes very, very little tension. In fact, quite surprisingly, it's surprising how little tension it takes to hold these bits securely. The real advantage to having a drawbar is, of course, that it's much easier to keep everything balanced. If you had a collet down here with like a set screw sticking in the side, you had to tighten up the set screw. Well, when that's spinning at 24,000 RPM, that's an off-balancing weight, and it can introduce run out, it's called, where your bit wobbles. And of course, any wobbling with this minuscule little bit is just going to snap it. Okay, so here goes. I got it chucked up. Start the feed. Well, I'm a little bit high on my setting. We had a little bit of a false start there. I forgot to readjust my height. So I was cutting too light. I only got partial traces. So I'll fix that now, hopefully. I'm only doing 2 thousandths of an inch passes. The general rule with end mills, of course, is you never cut more than half the diameter of the bit. Being only copper, it's probably safer to go more, but I'm a chicken. nice thing about using an end mill instead of a V-bit is that when I do get my heights a bit off, I don't all of a sudden have a much wider cut. The cut stays the same width all the time. I know that up close like this, it looks like this thing's really moving, but this is only 20 inches per minute feed rate. Oh, there, it's done. Let's have a look. Ooh, how does that look? That looks pretty darn good, don't you think? My camera's bashing up against everything here. I'm so close. Oh yeah. You can see it looks a little rough on top of the traces. That's just burrs of copper. I gotta sand it off to make it really clear. Get that out of the way. Try and get a little more vertical look. There, that looks like it's focused good. Now I wouldn't be able to use this bit. There's no bloody way I could use this bit with a spindle, like a wood router. It would have just snapped. It would never done anything. There was no cutting. Like my wood router, which is pretty good. It's Porta-Cable. It has a run out probably around 20 thou total plus 10 minus 10. And I mean, just to run it alone at 20 thou is 4 times the width of this cutter. It would have just snapped right off. Plus these lines wouldn't be this skinny. They would be great big huge fat things if it somehow survived. Anyways, that's the plug. Have fun with yours if you decide to get one.